We're live. Hi guys, welcome to the show. Today we have Goldcap as our first guest. I hope everything in the stream is working fine. You guys could hear us clearly. And yeah, we're gonna get the show started. Burge, thanks for coming.
What's up, buddy?
How are you?
Good to see you.
Sanitize. All right, so we're gonna start with our first question. Why Goldcap?
It's a bit of a long story, but through a series of quite surreal experiences, my life was changed in a way for the positive, in my opinion. And so Goldcap was taken on as an homage to the experiences that I had that shifted my perception and put me on a path that led us here.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's a good explanation. There's some hidden truth behind that, but we'll get to that later. What first got you into music?
I honestly can't remember because music's just been part of my life for so long. I would have to say my first experience would have to be my mom taking me to, or forcing me at the time, to go for classical piano on the weekends. And I got quite good at it to the point that I could play some Beethoven, Bach, and Mozart with my eyes closed. I was able to read sheet music. In the beginning, it was just work, but after a while, it became something really enjoyable, and it set me on a trajectory that was later influenced to guitar. See, right after piano, I was so done with it after 6 years that I was like, just wanted a drum set. For some reason, I always just wanted a drum set when I was a kid, and my parents were like, that is not happening, because they like their sleep.
Nice.
And so they allowed me to have a guitar, and so the guitar then set me on a different course, and so on and so forth, to the point where now it's everything between drums, percussions, lutes, flutes, and keys just surround me all the time. So,
yeah, I've been to your studio.
You know what it's
He has
like.
a crazy studio.
The museum.
Yeah, it's more of a museum with like some speakers.
Something like that.
All acoustic stuff, but we'll get to that in a little bit later when I talk about production. My next question. So by the way, this is our first time. We're not into streaming. Hopefully everything sounds good to you guys and it looks good. We learned this in the last week, so forgive us if there's any technical difficulties. We're usually social people.
We know you guys have a million other places to be right now.
Okay, describe your sound.
As production or as
Let's do both. First, since you're a musician first, let's go production.
Well, it's difficult to describe my sound because it's always changing to me day to day. People tell me they know my sound when they hear it, but I struggle to find that correlation because for me, it's all dependent on how I'm feeling that day or that night that I start the project. So some sounds could be a little bit more ambient, some could be a little more deep, others could be considered a little more tribal. So for me, it's more about the cathartic experience of just spilling out whatever emotion and thought I'm bottling in on that particular day. Mm-hmm. So it could range from, like a funky sound to a more deserty blues sound. And I kind of like the fact that I haven't really found that one signature sound for myself because it's giving me a lot of freedom to
experiment,
just try things out, and experiment. I mean, how do you find it for you?
I don't know my sound yet.
Yeah.
People come up to me, tell me, "Oh, you sound like this, you sound like that," but like every year it like changes, you know.
Right.
I haven't honed in on my one sound that I'm like known for this. You know?
Yeah. I feel the same way. But
Yeah, I've known you for years now, and like I've seen your progression as an artist, and like I still can't define your sound specifically. There's some realms that you dive deep into, but that's just from knowing you for such a long time.
Right. Because it feels to me like an outside perspective has a clearer view of what my sound is more so than I do.
Yeah.
Which is quite strange, but also quite comforting to know that other people are connecting dots that I'm not quite seeing yet because maybe I'm just too close to it.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
So because I feel that with other artists too, because I've gotten to know a lot of great artists throughout the year who I really look up to, and when I talk to them about it, they have similar experiences where they really don't feel like they've locked into something just yet, whereas I could just immediately know that it's one of them just by hearing the song blindfolded. And I think
I have a lot of artist friends too, like you just know it's them.
Yeah, you just know it's
their
them,
tricks,
but when
their
you talk to them
techniques,
about it, it's also they don't
Yeah.
feel like they know their sound yet. Very like a few do,
Yeah.
but
No, I know what you mean.
but yeah, I mean we're still experimenting. We're still in the car heading to this unknown destination. So
No, it's
we're there still.
a good journey. So DJing, how would you? Because I've seen you DJ a lot. I think you're one of the
Yeah. We've been together since
before you knew Goldcap.
2010.
Yeah,
2010. Yeah, better part of a decade actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we first started in playing progressive.
Yeah,
That was our sound 10 years ago. It was more progressive.
Then it got a little deep.
Yeah,
Techno and then deep.
When the American deep house scene kind of took off in 2010, 11, it really changed the game because up until that point, like American electronic music wasn't really like a global thing. It was more always like European.
Yeah.
And when you had these dudes like, like Vision Quest and Art Department and Blondish, I mean, this is like not just American, but like just the North American.
North American.
There was like this new deep, sexy vocal sound, but it still felt super underground. And so we went from progressive to that. And then somewhere along that line, everything got a little bit muddy for me because you remember the times when nobody really knew who you were, and to some extent it was kind of better back then because
parts
people didn't
they didn't have expectations.
To see you with expectations, right?
And
so it allowed us to be a little bit more experimental because we were just figuring ourselves out at the time. So I forgot when it was exactly, maybe 2011 or 12, but that's when I first started feeling like I wanted to introduce more world music that I would listen to on my regular day into my DJ sets, like even things that I'd never heard before, like a duduk solo, like back then it was like a real big experimentation for me, and to be honest, some I remember some dance floors where I would see like just it would go right over people's heads because that wasn't really a sound that was popular back then. I mean, there were a lot of people I found out later who were doing similar things at the time, but to me it felt like pushing some boundaries. But I always had this belief of if there's 100 people in the room,
like 5.
I'm not playing for the 100.
Like 5,
I'm not playing for the 100. Right? I want 5 to 10 people to enjoy it and really know. Because if you stay safe and try to make the 100 people happy,
you're not gonna.
What happens is everybody who's asked how was your night last night or last week, they're like, oh, it was good. But nothing really will stick that
forever,
well, right? Yeah. But if you really push the boundaries and you get those 10 people who truly get it, they will remember years down the line what they experienced. And so I had that experience with a couple DJs that I went to see, and so that's kind of my methodology when it comes to my DJ sets. It's just keeping it eclectic, but also giving that rhythm that stays kind of consistent. Because you know, there's a lot of great music in the world, a lot of old great music in the world, and not a lot of people get to experience it. And so this is kind of an opportunity for me to show people all that cool, strange world music in a way that's a little bit more palatable for them. Because you have that beat driving in the background, so anything you throw on top of it, it's kind of like, oh, it's electronic music, I think.
Yeah, I've heard your psychedelic Brazilian Congo music. I've seen. He has a crazy collection. Like I've been fortunate enough to visit like many artist studios, and Burgess is very unique. Every time you go, he has something new and something weird, like an instrument you've never even heard of in your life. And it's like, talks about it like, yeah, you should know what this instrument is, and he gives you the history behind it. And it's like, oh, wow, I was so, like, ignorant about different types of drums. And he has, like, 47 different drums in his house. Hand drum, stick drum, a drum with a guitar on it, a drum with something else. It's so interesting.
Well, I mean, I'm so excited it's showing you is because this is probably I had never even heard about that instrument maybe a week before I brought it home from whatever country I was visiting that month.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there's too much cool music and too much cool instruments in the world to just ignore.
Another cool thing is he collects vinyl, and he makes electronic music, but he doesn't collect it in the way that he collects other eclectic sounds.
Right.
So he always has these weird old, like older than your parents even, like weird music that he like chops up and like mixes in and does some crazy stuff with. So if you guys could never find, where did he play this track? Or you'll never find it, because there's like one copy of it that he found in a
somehow
record label. Like he went digging.
It's out there.
That's what makes Goldcap.
Well, I think it's like I have maybe 3 records that are purely electronic music, like dance music, and I think all 3 of those were given to me as gifts. One is from Viken Armand.
I have.
One is from Khach, Oceanus Orientalis, and the other one is from Loom. Yeah.
I have 2
of those.
of those
are the
3.
only 3 electronic records that I have, and they were all gifts. And I cherish those 3 records.
Yeah, they're really cool. They're sitting right there. I have it right there.
I actually struggle to call Loom's record electronic.
Yeah, it's more.
That is a journey. That one. Yeah. But yeah, the rest of the records are all world music, more or less.
Okay, next question. If you could pick one artist, dead or alive, who would you want to collaborate with on a track?
Collaborate with on a track?
Like make music together.
Well, it's a bit intimidating to say it, but I mean, it's not going to be one person.
Yeah, or a band or whatever.
It's the Doors for me.
The Doors?
It always comes around to the Doors. That band has just resonated with me since my first experience with them was maybe when I was 9 or 10. My dad was a big fan of the Doors, and I'd hear it in the car radio, and it was really, really catchy to a kid's ears. But as I came into adulthood and also into my maturing in my own path towards my mid to late teens, that band just made so much more sense to me. Like that rebellious youth changing things, the message that they had, it was psychedelic, it was fun, it was a bit sadistic, kind of like a twisted carnival. And then you throw, Jim Morrison and his poet mind into the mix, and then it just ties everything together, like John Densmore with his jazz influenced drumming, Robbie Krieger, like flamenco style guitarist who was playing on the electric guitar with his fingers and using a bottleneck on like every track in the first album was like really revolutionary. And then you got Ray Manzarek, who was just like this absolute force to be reckoned with, playing like the bass with his left hand on the keys and then like the organ on the right. He had like 2 different brains, and it just that band is like complete fusion. It sounds pretty straightforward when you know it and you've been growing up with that music, but when you really take a step back, it is like such a fusion band, and everything about that band just sticks to me. So if I was to it's kind of intimidating to say because I don't know what I would contribute at all to a band like that. But it would just
you never
really
know.
cool
You
to
might
be
blow
a
their
fly
mind
on the wall, and having those guys, those legends, in front of you making music would be a super cool experience.
What other inspirations, like dead or alive, like artists that really inspire you other than the Doors?
You know, for me, I'm a classic rock kid, so I grew up with like a lot of rock and roll, and a lot of rap, like a lot of gangster rap, because it's like in Los Angeles, you know, in the 90s.
Gangster rap. Tupac.
That was this for me. It was like but the thing that struck me about gangster rap was, I didn't know it at the time, but it was funk. It was the funk that I really gravitated towards, because the West Coast swing in the 90s, it was about mixing that G-funk. So, like, you know, NWA, Ice Cube, and then all these people who came after, it had this very great rhythm, and Dr. Dre's productions really put it over the map. So that influence, plus the classic rock that started penetrating my life at the time, was like this really kind of binary thing. It was like really hardcore gangster rap and then really amazing psychedelic rock and roll. And I mean, there's so many artists in between that whole mix. Once I started developing more in my musical career, it started becoming more about the music outside the US, the music that wasn't around my corner, because, you know, things like the Doors and Janis Joplin and Hendrix, that was all Los Angeles, San Francisco, like 40 years before. And then the whole gangster rap movement, at least the West Coast gangster rap movement, was like, you know, just 10-minute drive from where I was growing up. So I felt like I was just completely in this bubble of LA, California music. So branching out to world music felt like the next logical step. Like I skipped over the whole US and just went straight to world music. And then I came back around to, you know, New Orleans style jazz and like Texas and blues and yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. Like my latest addiction is like bluegrass and country, which is great storytelling and like really cool rhythms in there too.
I've heard some of your country tracks in Burning Man.
Yeah, sometimes they work, sometimes not so much. Sometimes it feels like too much of a hoedown in a barn. But it's cool.
It gets people's attention, that's for sure.
Yeah, it does.
Talking about people's attention, I'm going to share some stuff with you guys based off the stream. So if I keep looking away, it's because I'm trying to monitor what's happening to make sure the quality of the stream is still going great. If anything feels weird, I'm going to read some of your questions in a little bit. We're going to have a Q&A for you guys in a little bit. Please stay active on the chat. I'm going to, like 10 minutes before the actual Q&A, I'm going to tell you guys to load up your questions. So if you guys have questions right now, please save it for the end, because my attention is on Burge. And then once I turn this way completely, I'm going to be at my attention on you guys, and then we're going to feed Burge new questions. So to move back along, one thing that I've noticed, and a lot of people come up to me, is how you throw movie soundtracks into your sets. Lion King, Star Wars. I know you're a big Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
What gets you? What gets you into just picking the right soundtrack or dropping it in? Because I remember one of our Burning Mans, you played like 2 hours, like 4 a.m. on a random day. You played like 2 hours of just movie soundtracks. Well, what gets you into? What inspires you about that?
Well, first off, it's this. I'm a huge film buff. I mean, like, for me, it's like movies growing up, and to this day, like, I'm just addicted to films, and maybe a little bit too much, because it cuts into a lot of time I could be using to make music. But I see it more as like an inspiration, because for me, I feel like the highest point a musician can go, and this is just my opinion, is film composition. If you have the ability to compose for film, I feel like you are at a certain level musically where a script will come and somebody will be like, we're making a movie about a deep space journey, make me believe it with sound. And for you to be able to do that, and then 6 months later somebody approach you and be like, hey, we're making a blockbuster Pirates movie, bring it to life. And so that is like, you have to be so knowledgeable and have such a good idea of sound and instruments and arrangement,
theory, emotion,
to create that experience for people. And so I have the highest respect for film composers, but the reason I put that into my DJ sets sometimes is not so much, I mean, yeah, I respect all the stuff that I play, but honestly, when I'm playing something like the Lion King soundtrack or like Star Wars,
it connects with a lot of people.
It's great, but the reason I played those is because, I'm trying to let the steam out of all the seriousness that we have in like the electronic music scene, because sometimes it gets a little too far up its own ass, and it's taken a little bit too seriously, and we forget that the DJ is just a selector. We're just selecting music that we appreciate and having an experience with everybody who's there. So when I play things like that, it's about transporting you back to that time when you were a kid watching like Peter Pan for the first time. And it's like that feeling of nostalgia. I like to use songs like that as opposed to like popular electronic songs, because it's something that we all shared, like when we're in Tulum surrounded, by the jungle and all this stuff, and like playing the Jungle Book soundtrack there, just like it clicks to everybody, like, oh my God, this is like such a perfect place and a perfect time for this. And the smiles on people's faces, I honestly don't care if it's cheesy. I know it's cheesy.
I like it. Yeah.
I'm just letting everybody know, I know it's cheesy, but I love it and I don't care. And, when people are smiling, that's all that matters to me.
So the moments where he says sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We're in Burning Man. We're at their Casbah set one year, and the sun was coming up. It was like a red sun, and he drops the Lion King out of nowhere, and then like everyone's like happy, and then this one dude had this lion backpack.
Yeah, I will never forget
and this guy just raises this gigantic
like
lion
he was
head.
raising Simba right there in that
raises
moment.
this lion head, and then I was like, fuck yeah, that's sick as fuck.
That was, you couldn't.
Boom, and everyone starts yelling and it's like 1,000 people just face to this one lion.
I think there's a video on
YouTube.
Of it.
There is, but we saw it live.
Yeah.
It was
the sun was rising, and you just heard Savannah, and I don't know how.
Unexpected, this lion just pulled it out of his ass or something like. That was such an epic moment.
That was
everyone started yelling and clapping. It was great.
Yeah, you remember that?
That's one of those. There's a lot of things that I could remember.
Yeah, but that experience for people, like it's nice that we can all be like, oh wow, like that fucking DJ, he watched The Lion King too when he was a kid.
Yeah, for sure. It's a way to connect.
That we all have, and it's important because sometimes it feels. The listener feels like out of their depths because we surround our lives with this music. You know how it is. We're on our computers every day digging for music, trying things out. And so the audience, this is very different from the experience that people have going to a concert, because I grew up going to concerts. That was my thing growing up. If it wasn't the Whiskey or the Roxy or the Knitting Factory, it was, like Staples Center or like one of these big places where you're watching bands. And the whole thing is you're going to see that band to hear the songs you already know. The songs that you love. And the difference in our music industry is people are coming to be surprised. People are coming to hear songs
because there's
they don't
a lot
know
of
so much, right? And so sometimes they could feel out of their depths, like, okay, this is all new, but to share something that they know front to back and something that's embedded in them. We all have those experiences of like, you haven't heard a song in 10 years, but the second it comes up, somehow you remember all the words. Verbatim, and that's what I'm talking about, is allowing people to be like, this, like, I know what's happening here, and it's a fun experience to share with people.
I've witnessed it like firsthand a couple times, and like It's just, yeah, I feel what you mean, where like you connect with people, and like sometimes some epic things happen in random moments that you would never expect,
Right.
and it causes the story to be
Right.
remembered and told, you know.
That's why I really enjoy playing in outdoor venues, like outdoor, because in a nightclub, I mean, I love playing nightclubs, you know, but it's a very sterile environment.
You're
It's
limited.
very-
Like it's dark.
Yeah,
there's lights.
it's very
and,
monotone.
Yeah.
You got, it's dark room, flashing lights, maybe lasers and smoke and all, but it's very in one place. It could
Yeah.
be 11 p.m. It could be 5 a.m.
feels the same.
It's the same
Yeah,
energy. It's
yeah.
the same kind of vibe, more or less, depending on where the people are at in their journey throughout the night. But when you're outside, when you have a sunset or a sunrise or the moon coming out or a gust of wind blowing or rain starting to fall, these are all moments that you can use as a DJ. Because to me, I always see like a DJ set as like a narration. This is like me trying to narrate what's happening around us. Sort of like, same as like a film composer, is just like creating the background music for what you're seeing and experiencing. So moments like that where it's like the sun's coming up and you can play the Lion King, it makes sense in that moment. If I were to do
Yeah.
that in a nightclub, it
No,
wouldn't
it'd
work
be
so
weird,
much, you
yeah.
know?
Timing and place for
Yeah,
everything.
exactly. And it's all about the vibe and not wasting an opportunity when it's presented, you know, gust of wind blowing by.
Yeah.
What do you do with that? Rain starts to fall. What do you do for that? And it's nice to know that we can all share something and make the music have people feel like, oh my God, I was here in this moment at this time while this was
Yeah.
happening. And yeah, that's what I love most about DJing in outdoor venues. It's being able to narrate for what's happening around us. I mean, you had that experience too, you know, like when you're playing at places like Burning Man or outside festivals,
Yeah.
it's like you're free to play whatever
you want.
right,
Yeah. It's a good thing about that is that, like, on my scale compared to yours, like, people don't really know. Like, my first year when I started touring, people didn't know who I was. I was just this new kid, and then once they heard me play, it was like I caught some people's attention, you know.
Yeah.
And then the next year when I went back, I was like, "Hey, he's back!" And then they started to know who I was, and then now it's been like 3 years, and it's like when I go someplace, I get my recognition, you know, because of like the type of music I played, or a moment happened, like in Paris, I was playing, and all of a sudden it started raining, and I didn't stop playing. It was pouring on me. I didn't stop playing. I was with Ali, and everyone around me noticed that I wasn't gonna stop. I wouldn't let the rain like influence me. They started building structures around me, and they started partying in the rain
until
and
the
then,
rain fries your stuff.
Yeah, so
going,
they knew. So they started protecting the gear and stuff. So, and then all of a sudden everyone's partying in the rain. And then when I finished my set, the promoter came up to me. He goes, "You're a boss. Like any other DJ would have just turned that off and ran away." He's like, "You kept going and you kept the party alive." He's like, "You're like, I love you. Like, we didn't let any like nature or whatever ruin anything."
It's a blessing in disguise.
So like that caused like a moment of remembrance.
Right,
you know?
It's a blessing in disguise. Moments like that, because people see like our commitment to our craft, and they don't want to have the music stop either, you know. You just reminded me, like maybe 5 years ago, I was doing a back-to-back set with Eduardo Castillo at Nomade in Tulum, and this was New Year's morning. Like, we just had New Year's, and it was the sunrise that morning. And we started playing for maybe like 50 to 80 people who were at the hotel that day. And it started raining. But what happened that year was none of the cables were grounded. So everything was like electrocuting.
Oh, that's happened to me in
mixer,
Ibiza.
The CDJs, everything we touched, we were like, oh my God, frying. And like a friend of mine touched the speaker and got shocked so bad she started crying. And it was so crazy because we were underneath this blue tarp so the rain wouldn't get us. But even the tarp was electrocuting us, and we not stopped. It was just so much fun. We were just dying of laughter.
You just said that. It reminded me. I was playing in Ibiza in like some villa, and the gear they had, it was like, it wasn't like the regular stuff I'm used to, and the gear was all metal. And I don't know, for some reason it was by the shore, and there was
nothing was grounded,
nothing
right?
was grounded. So every time I touched this thing, I would get zapped, and there's like people dancing in front of me. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I played 10 hours getting zapped every time I touched this thing.
Ride the lightning, yeah.
It was like wake up, let's play some more. You know, so I've had those experiences.
Yeah, don't let it go to waste.
Yeah,
you know?
it's fun. It makes the journey of the set even crazier.
Right.
Like, what should I play when I get
forget.
zapped? You know,
Yeah,
it changes your mind. So next question: when you produce music, what is your first like quick influence that gets you going? What's like your warm-up way? How do you decide when you sit behind your Ableton? How do you know that what direction you're trying to go?
Sometimes it's a grueling process. Sometimes it's just super easy to flow into it. I mean, a lot the way I saw other producers when I was first learning how to produce, I would just sit in on some of my friends who were kind enough to have me over at the studio so I could watch them work, because I'm a very visual person. If I see it done, I could remember it and take that home with me. But what I noticed was in Ableton, everybody working on the clip view, and so what they would do was build the beat, the biggest part of the song, maybe like 4 or 5 minutes in, and they'd create that big moment with all the loops, the beat, the hook, and then what they do is when they go into the arrangement view, start adding and subtracting around. So you create the intro, the high part that you had already set up, and then the come down. And that never made sense to me, because I come from jam bands, and the idea in a jam band is you're just starting to play. And we don't know what was nothing. It's all original. It's all improvised in that moment. So, and especially when you're playing with 3 other people, you have this second to second progression through what you're playing. So for me, music is always more like linear. Like I have to start from second 1. And so for me, it's either a chord, a pad, a gong sound, or maybe just the kick. But the song is always being built fully from beginning to end. Like if I've written 30 seconds of this song, the first 30 seconds, it's almost the final 30 seconds that you'll be hearing once the song is complete. Because I need to have that laid out in front of me to know where it's telling me to go. When I have the right pad followed by the right kick drum, it shows me what needs to come next, where it goes. So that's my process when it comes to production. So it could always start with a different instrument at some point or another. But yeah, I'm still figuring it out. Sometimes I'll just wake up from a sound sleep with a sound in my head or an idea in my head, and immediately go onto the keys and just start laying it out, get a rough idea, and then start filling in the right synth or the right instrument that I have laying around me. I sleep with the guitar right over my bed, so sometimes I'll just like pick up the guitar and record it onto my phone, because that's my easiest way. It's like I always hear it in a guitar. If you can lay out a melody in a guitar, it'll always sound good when you subtract it for a synth bass or another kind of instrument. But I'm still figuring it out.
Have you ever put your own voice in any of your tracks?
Yeah, I use my voice pretty often. I used to dabble in a little bit of vocal work in the jam bands and the garage bands that I was playing around with back in the day. So, and my voice has changed quite a bit since then, and not for the better. But yeah, I'm still figuring out the right tones, the right way I want to go about it. But yeah, my voice is in a couple of the tracks that I have out and a couple of the tracks that are coming out. I hear my voice in a lot of other people's projects from the sound pack that I released with Splice a couple years ago. Did a couple vocal pieces in there. And actually the podcast that's coming out today, that should be out right now actually, there's a song in there that's using my voice and my friend's voice and a couple other samples from that pack. So it's like, 4 or 5 years down the line, people are still using it, and it's pretty cool.
Right.
It actually surprised me because I had downloaded this song, and only when I started DJing with it, I was like, oh my god, I recognize this sample. And it had been like a couple of weeks of hearing it before I recognized it was my own voice and my own samples. But yeah, you'll probably be hearing me use my voice a little bit more in the next couple of years, both live and in my productions.
Have you? Where do you practice? Do you sing in the shower?
In the car, in the shower, at home.
I practice
Anywhere
my
I can,
voice
really.
in the shower, honestly. The steam. I have a really deep and raspy voice, so the steam helps me get into my
If you want a
side.
tip for the shower, if you want a tip for shower singing, because most showers is like tile on the
Yeah.
walls or marble
nice
or
reverb.
tile, yeah, whatever it is, sing to the corner. Sing to the corner of the
How much
shower,
practice have
and
you had
you
in
hear
this?
this really cool effect. And if you looked in on me from the outside of the shower, you'd be like, why is this guy just like facing
Why
the
is
corner?
he in the corner? Is he dancing himself?
But yeah, it's a really good way to hear your voice in a different way. Because
It's
the voice that we
acoustics of
hear
the
in our
sound.
own
Yeah,
heads
no,
is
it's
very
different. Yeah.
from what we hear.
Even the
come out.
voice you're hearing us now is very
Right,
different.
So you have to be very comfortable hearing your voice coming through another channel, because it's usually not to our liking.
Yeah, no.
So you have to get
It's
quite
interesting.
comfortable.
Yeah, it's interesting. And in every different room, your voice sounds different,
Yeah.
and sound stuff.
Yeah, everybody's voice has like a very unique kind of tone to it. So you got to figure out the best way to use it. And I don't have the greatest voice in the world, but for me, using my voice in songs, it's less about the timbre of it and the tone, and more about the heart. Because some of the best, vocalists or the best sounds, in my opinion, are from people who sang with heart over technicality.
Yeah.
And Janis Joplin is like my favorite female vocalist, and it's this country girl with a very raspy voice, and nobody would have pegged her to be an amazing vocalist, but the sound of her voice, because it was so honest and true and so heartfelt, just made at least made me melt. And so I encourage like a lot of people to find their voice and use it in whatever way they can.
Nice. So right now we're all sitting at home. We're not used to this. We should have like...
This is actually you're the first person I've come to see in 4 weeks.
Yeah, there's
it's
been
nice to get out.
literally nobody that's been coming. I've been locking myself. So this is my studio, guys. I've spent in the last month 400 hours of just making music. So next year is going to be great. Who knows, maybe after this we'll jam out a little bit.
That's right.
But touring is a very important factor of our daily our career. So I want to ask you, what has been like, you're one of the people that I've traveled a lot with, like in different countries, and we always meet up. We always meet up. What's like your favorite places that you've been to, and then what is places that you want to go to and share your music? And
do you mean in the context of like my favorite places to DJ, or my favorite places that I've been?
Let's do both. We have all the time. Let's do both. Let's start with, where's your favorite place to attend or like visit, where you want to visit, and then where has been your favorite place that you've played, and where is it a place that you want to play?
So let's see. Some of my favorite places to visit. Definitely for me, there's so many, but right off the bat, Morocco is a very magical place. The first time I went there, I went to shoot a documentary about the ethnic music, the old traditional music of the Gnawa and the Berber, and there's just so much diversity in that country, musically speaking. And so I spent like 3.5 weeks with two friends of mine who were the cameramen for this experience, and we just rented a car, and a good friend of mine, who's now a good friend of mine, I didn't know him at the time, but he was our guide, our driver, a good friend. He took us. We started in Marrakesh and went down towards. We started in Agadir, Marrakesh, Agadir, Tata, Ouarzazate, and then we ended up in Merzouga, which is the northwestern tip of the Sahara Desert. And I really, really found something special in that desert. We got to spend some time in the Bedouin village in the desert with some locals around the campfire under the stars playing music, and a really beautiful experience. I would encourage a lot of people to go check out Morocco and what's happening there. But I mean, Marrakesh is where most people go, but I would say just spend 2 nights in Marrakesh, get an idea of the vibe there, because it is the tourist hub. But if you really want to experience Morocco, travel, rent a car and travel. That was definitely a great place for me. Senegal also, West Africa, that was a really amazing place. Put a lot of things into perspective. Amazing people, really, really hospitable. There's so many places. Mykonos is a great place to explore. The party scene is interesting there. It's changing a lot since I first started going. But the island itself, it's a magical place. Tulum also, I know everybody knows about Tulum now, but and I went into it quite late too, to like 6 years ago, I believe was my first experience. And in those 6 years, I've seen such a dramatic change in the people who go there, the amount of people who go there. But I would encourage people to go there in the low season, because something magical happens over there. A lot of places in the world that are super magical. The places that I would want to go, it's not so much to perform for gigs, but definitely Mongolia would be a place that I'd want to go. Bhutan, definitely somewhere I'd like to go. Egypt. I'd like to go a lot of places in the Middle East. My family is from Iraq, from Baghdad, and I was always meant to go there, but then the war happened, so I didn't get a chance. So hopefully one day I can go out there and see where my parents grew up, where my grandparents grew up. DJing wise, I mean, I love DJing in so many different places. I like DJing in places where electronic music is very prominent. Places like Berlin. It's really fun. Like I mean, Berlin. It's like we go to Berlin and we play for fun.
You just go there to release.
Yeah, I mean, my first summer tour ever. I'd never been to Europe, and right off the bat, I knew I was gonna have my home base be Berlin, and I spent 3.5 months based in Berlin and traveled from there, and I really fell in love with Berlin. But the party scene there is really, really. It's old, you can talk about veteran music listeners there and people who know the game. So every time I go and play in Berlin, it's kind of like I gotta bring my A game, because these people are very critical,
veterans,
very critical of music, and it's very hard to impress them. So it's fun in that way. You get excited, but I also really, really love playing in places where the scene is developing.
Fresh,
like one of these places is Panama for me. A good group of friends of mine in Panama, in Venao, have this amazing beachfront cove, and they've been bringing our style of electronic music out to Panama for the last few years. And being there at the beginning of it, it was really amazing, because the people who drove 5-6 hours from Panama City to get stories. There, they come and they're just so excited to have this kind of music there, and you just play there once and they just embrace you, and they're so enthusiastic. Every song you play is like amazing for them. And I really like places where it's not so snobby at the music, and everyone's just so hungry for this music, and they're. It's really nice to see. Are you talking about
there's two? There's Sonica and Playa. Are you talking about Playa?
Playa Venao.
Playa
Venao.
Well,
the Sonica, the Ibiza Sonica is on the same place. It's in Playa Venao. Yeah, really beautiful place.
I've heard a lot of amazing.
Asaf, Jackie, Sandra. Hi, love you, miss you. It's a great place for anybody to go.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of great stories.
The up and coming places I really love playing there. Really love it.
Next question.
Gotta
Let's
get
see.
back on the circuit soon.
So while I'm trying to get these questions out for you, if you want to talk to the people and say some stuff, go for it while I find the good ones.
Thanks all for tuning in. We know you're all trapped at home. It's nice to at least talk and connect like this now that we have all this excess time. Hoping you and all your families are safe and healthy and taking care of one another.
Take care of each other.
All we have right now is the connection to each other.
Okay, so on the subject of touring and stuff still,
Right.
what is the most trouble you've ever gotten into in terms of shit happening that you had no idea, or like put in a situation where it was like, shit, you need to like act fast or some shit's gonna happen, or like to not jeopardize your next show, because when we tour it's like boom 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 boom,
Yeah,
you're going, you
things-
know, but like all of a sudden a disaster can happen, not like this one, but like another disaster,
Right.
that'll cause your show to get canceled, so you have to figure something out. What is like one or a couple, however many you want to share,
Right.
what is one thing that has happened to you where you had to act fast, or like something interesting or something?
I mean, there have been a couple times where, you know, you get a curveball and you have to adjust super quick. And usually it's the airlines. I mean, this is not something anybody's interested in, but you
A
can
2-hour flight turns into a 12-hour bus ride.
I'm really, really sure most of you who just travel for fun and for vacation have had the experience of a flight getting delayed and you miss your layover or it gets canceled, and you know, you're losing a day of your vacation maybe. You know, for us that's like Armageddon situation. If I miss this flight, then I miss that gig tonight, and then my next flight is canceled, and then how do I reroute everything?
Yeah,
So it's happened quite a few times. I mean, one time I was in my first time in Milan, airline canceled the flight. I had to wait another 7. I had no sleep for maybe 30 hours, and then I was dying to get sleep on that flight, and it got canceled, and then I had to rebook another flight 7 hours later. And I couldn't sleep in the airport because if I slept, I was afraid I was going to miss my next flight. And then that next flight had a layover in Dusseldorf. So I get to that layover in Dusseldorf, and what happens is that connecting flight that I was taking to, I forgot where I was going, but that one got canceled now. So now I'm in Dusseldorf trying to get another flight to my final destination. And I think I was awake for maybe 42 hours before I got myself sorted. And I arrived 2 hours before showtime, but we pulled it off. And you know,
and then all dead and tired, you have to, and sometimes those sets become your favorite sets because there's so much story in the background to get to where you are. Yeah,
it happens. It's just, you know, it's part of what we sign up for.
Yeah, for sure. So outside of airlines, have you gotten into anything juicy?
Nothing I can talk about here. Nothing I can talk about here, but there have definitely been situations in certain countries where you're like, okay, I'm a foreigner in a place that I don't understand, and anything could happen and anything could go wrong. Because, you know, anywhere you go, there's certain things you do and you don't do.
Yeah, every country's different. And it's the culture of the place.
And you have to respect that. And, you know, you got to kind of blend in and understand people's culture, which is also a blessing about what we get to do, is understand the culture of, you know, different people and learn something from the way they are, even if we didn't grow up with that same mentality. So it is a blessing too, having to chameleon up.
My next question. I know throughout my journey in music, we've known each other for a long time. You always give me advice, or I ask you for stuff, for your opinion or pointers or stuff like that. What is one advice you would give to people like up and comers, someone starting their journey just now, to like help them or make it easier on them, or like a mistake you've made in your life that now that you look back at it, you're like, oh, I wish I never did it this way and I adjusted it this way. What is some advice like based off your like career up to this point that you could share?
There's been a lot of stuff that's happened, not happened in my situation, but I wouldn't really call any of those mistakes, or I wouldn't really go
learning
back and
situations,
do anything over, because everything happens in the way that it eventually turns you into the person you are. So sitting here with you right now, being blessed to even be considered to be talking about, what I do for a living, my passion, is just, nothing's really gone wrong, I would say. Because maybe something in my mind thinking, if I did that differently, I'd be better. Maybe that decision wouldn't have made me the person I am today, and we wouldn't be sitting here. So I don't have any feelings of changing anything in the past. But, I mean, it's different person to person if I was giving advice, but it depends, like,
what's something generic?
Something that would ring true for if I was giving advice to a DJ or a producer or an artist or anybody doing whatever they're doing, is to just be honest. It's something like we struggle as creative people not to mimic the things that we like. Mm-hmm. So I'm a big fan of the Doors and a lot of kinds of music. But just because I really like that doesn't mean that's who I am, or that's what my sound or my message is. And especially in the electronic music world, where you find these trends kind of picking up all at the same time. Like this new sound kind of started of like ethnic influenced house music or electronic music. And all of a sudden, like all these people came out of the woodworks and creating similar sounding tracks. Mm-hmm. And I respect that a lot of people like it and they feel connected to it. But there's a way of paying homage to the music that you like without imitating certain people. So being honest through your sound and really taking the time to dive deep and find out what your message is and what you're trying to share with people, a little bit of you, find your signature, something that only you have, only you can do, and use that. And once you own your individual talent and your style, that's what makes you a great artist. Just honesty. And you can hear it through the speakers. I feel like I know when someone's being honest and when somebody's forcing a sound that they think is popular now. But yeah, just take the time to figure yourself out and do the prep work. It always starts with internally. It's always a battle to come face to face with yourself, and then you're ready to put something out for other people.
That's a good point. To little add to that, us as artists or DJs or whatever you want to call it, when we're playing music out, it's like that emotion, that what we're feeling at the moment, it's being projected through these big ass speakers, and everybody could feel and understand what's happening. And whenever you're not true to what you are and you're trying to do something that is not you, you're just amplifying it whenever you're playing out. So this is a very good point. Like being honest and doing you and being true to yourself is amplified by the speakers. So
there's only one you.
That's a very
there could be
point.
A million people who are trying to sound like that guy there, but there's only one you, and that is your golden ticket.
Yeah, for sure. That's a very good point. Let's talk about your past works with different people. Like, let's talk about our friends.
Yeah, let's talk about our friends.
Your number one, Sabo.
Oh, yeah.
What's up, Sabo?
My brother.
We're going to have you on here soon. Yeah. So, how is it working with Sabo? Because I like him as a person. Man, he's like the OG.
Okay, so Sabo is like, if you never met him, the guy is an angel. Like, sweetest guy, super down to earth. He's not intimidating at all. He's like such a fucking loving guy. And, I had the story of me and Sabo is actually really, really great. So we met through a mutual friend, Eduardo Castillo. And I had known of Sabo. I known of Sabo from his involvement in a style of music called Moombahton.
Yeah.
Because him and a couple of his friends, Not a Strum, they had created this whole new sound called Moombahton. And if you look it up, it's really, really great music. And I still love it to this day. So I had known of Sabo and I had seen him DJ a couple times. And my brother, Eduardo Castillo, he surprised me with a ticket to Burning Man about a week before I was going, and that was my first Burning Man experience. I think 2014 that was. And the people going, it was like me, Eduardo, his wife Misty, our other friend Eduardo Green, and Sabo. And so we actually got to have some one-on-one time during this trip. And I'll never forget Sabo, like when we were meeting at the RV, like he comes riding up on his skateboard with his skater hat on and, you know, sleeveless t-shirt. It was just like such an image, you know, and I'll never forget like that guy. And you know, we took a ride in together and we were playing together on the same bill a night of Eduardo Castillo and Friends at a place called the Panda Lounge. It's a camp suspended on a platform that would shake around and make you super nervous, like this whole thing's gonna collapse. But it was so amazing. And the night was Eduardo and Acid Polly playing back to back, followed by me, and then followed by Sabo. And then when I started playing, I was maybe 30-40 minutes into the set, and Sabo came up to me and he's like, "Man, like, I didn't know you could play music like this. This is fucking awesome, man. We should play back to back sometime." And I'm like, "Dude, like,
jump on,
plug in. Let's play now." And he plugged in, and I swear to God, I had never felt that kind of chemistry with another person ever before that. It was just like, it wasn't like we were playing similar styles. It was quite the opposite, actually, because Sabo was coming out of Moombahton and a deep kind of sound, and he was transitioning at the time into like more of this like driving techie, you know, tribal ethnic sound, and I had been doing that for like that whole year coming up at the same time. So Sabo was pretty well established. I was still coming up at the time, and at this point where I was just starting to get known and Sabo was changing his sound, we had merged in that moment, and the music we were playing felt so right, where I'd throw him something and he'd throw me something right back, and it was like a constant repartee, like a challenge, like, let's go. Okay, he's taking me to places I didn't think I could go, and vice versa. And that set is actually up on SoundCloud. It's me and him at the Panda Lounge, and ever since then we've had such this chemistry, both behind the decks and off of them. And you know, the guys, you know, we're connected for forever now, and it's really great to see like how people like embrace me and Sabo as a duo. Some people, I know some people who won't come to see me
unless you're playing with
Sabo.
or
go to see Sabo, but when we're playing together, they'll come out. You know, and it's really cool, kind of like
we've had a lot of fun times together.
Yeah, because we decided like pretty early on when we started figuring each other out that we weren't gonna do Sabo back to back Goldcap. We wanted to create this separate entity. You know, we wanted to be Sabo and Goldcap. It was this collaboration project, and you know, in recent years, it's been taken off pretty well, and then we're both really blessed to have found each other, and for all the support from people. It's really awesome, and we're currently working on some productions together too, to create something to share with everybody. Who's been supporting us so deeply.
We just signed Sabo to our label, Pipe and Poche. Thank you, Sabo.
Awesome.
Welcome to the family. I know Burge. We signed Burge like 2 years ago, and now Sabo is part of the family. So it's a good crew we have building right here. You're also working on new remix for us.
Yes, I am.
Ali let me know the other day.
It's a great one.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can deliver on that one too.
Yeah.
You know? Every remix project I get is like oh man, can I pull it off? Like, I'm not
It's harder.
confident
It's
and
harder
comfortable.
to
It's
pull
just-
off other people's music.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like I want to do a good job, and I always have doubts in myself and my abilities, but I feel like that's what we need to push us a little harder, a little better. I never want to feel comfortable or confident behind it. I want to always feel that tension pulling at me.
Yeah,
and
uncomfort
push
zone.
myself,
You know,
right,
yeah.
right.
The first remix you did for us, the Raposa one.
Yeah.
It was very.
Shanti.
Yeah, still like that.
Well, to be honest, I didn't have to do much. It was a great track.
Good track.
To work with.
Yeah. The other day, I was actually just scrolling through like old music from the label, and I clicked yours again, and I was like just jamming out in my room for Shanti. I've heard it a lot. I was actually I was in Berlin. My first year, I went to Garbage Festival.
Yeah, that's right.
Someone played in the main stage, and I was like, on their main, like, super nice stage. Somebody played it, and I got so excited. It was like early on in the label, and we were just growing, and it was like they played it in main stage at a German festival in Poland, which is close to Berlin, done by Berliners, and I was like, what?
Yeah,
I
remember you
so happy. I ran up. I was taking video. Listen, Burge, listen. It was so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool to know that, you know, when you're putting in the work and you're trying to do the original justice, and, you know, other DJs are embracing it and playing it out, you know, because I rarely play my own productions in my own sets. Like, I will play them, testing them out, just to see how it's responded by the audience. And then I'll go home, I'll adjust and tweak sound levels and that. And then once it comes out, I usually don't play it anymore.
Yeah.
I like supporting other people's music more than playing my own, because by the time I'm done writing the song,
you're tired of it.
I'm pretty tired of it, and I just want to play new, fresh music that's making me happy.
I kind of feel your same idea about that. Like music from our label, or like music from the ones we make, by the time everyone else gets to hear it, we've heard it like God knows how many times.
Right.
So like when it comes time for the release or whatever, and it's time to actually promote it, like unless we're playing like a 5-hour set, like we usually just skip over those.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what you're trying to do. Every DJ is different. I know DJs who's like their whole set is comprised of their own music, and that's great because they're taking.
That's great for like the first time you hear them, you're like blown away. But
for me, it's more about making myself. I'm playing a set for me and for the audience. So it's like when I'm playing for me, I don't want to work with, you know, my own stuff so much.
No.
In the beginning, yeah. When it's unreleased, I'm playing all my music for you guys. But once it's released, you know, then now it's time for, you know, other DJs to have fun with it, and for me to just have fun with new songs and new ideas. And
maybe 20 years from now is the Goldcap World Tour nostalgic series.
Yeah, the nostalgic series.
The nostalgic series.
We're gonna a good amount of tracks released. Yeah,
50 tracks released.
I release pretty
hits.
rarely.
It's good though. Like there's
Right.
certain people release rarely. There's certain people that release a lot.
Yeah.
I have different takes on it as label owner, DJ, personal, like business, all of it. Like there's different reasons to do different things, and once you like notice the way markets react, and like take the way what song causes what bookings, or what makes you relevant, or how to sustain what you're trying to do, there's different opinions and stuff that come into the mix about the industry, and some people do it this way, some people do it that way. For me, what I realized is, doesn't matter who does what, if when you get to learn a certain way and it worked for you, and if you're happy about this outcome of it, whether it's the way you made this track, whether it's what caused you to do this, what caused you to do that, just stick to it. Like keep doing it. Just do you. Going back, just do you. Don't be like, oh, because this person did something, I should do that too, and see what happens to me, and do this and do that. Just try it out.
Yeah.
Do 50 different types of things, or like work with the guitar, work with the piano, work with the violin, work with the santur, or whatever you want to work with. Do it to see if you can do it, or like it, or it works for you. or your natural your natural artisanship brings something out of an instrument that you wouldn't have known, you know?
Right.
So like
I encourage people to learn one instrument besides piano.
Yeah.
It's a good skill to have, you know. Obviously, knowing piano it's pretty important for producing music. But to have one other thing that makes you, whether it's vocals or a kind of flute or lute or percussion, to just bring authenticity to it. You know, I try to make my productions about 70% of it live recordings of instruments that I have
you do
in my
that
home.
a lot live,
Right. I even if I'm playing like a djembe, let's say, there's VSTs, there's VST like programs in the computer that's simulate the sound or real recordings of it, but they're in like perfect quality, amazing microphones, and it's like it's flawless. And to me, it's just like a little bit too perfect, and it lacks the heart for me. So I would rather play my djembe with a crappier microphone just to get those little mistakes, those little nuances that end up giving it heart and soul. You know, sometimes those mistakes and those offbeat rhythms create the atmosphere. So I would encourage a lot of people to just, you know, you're in the label game, you're in the event game, you're in the DJing game, the production game, and so for you, I understand how your mind goes to that, like what tracks work, how they sell, and this and that. But you know,
I have different hats.
Right, you have.
I have different hats.
Yeah, it's true.
Whenever I switch one hat and I put another one on, it's a complete different Patrik comes out.
Right, and when I talk to you, you always give me a different perspective in that sense, because I rarely think about things like, you know, which one's hot, what it's going to do for your profile, or how it's going to get you gigs. And for me, it's more like the experience of making a track and just for your own personal growth. Yeah, but.
So
it's good to have like both.
I have a new hat now. I'm an interviewer. David Letterman was a hero of mine.
Renaissance man.
Conan, I love Conan. No, this is what we're learning because we need to now because we're stuck at home. True. So, is there anything that I'm missing out or anything? Should we go into the audience?
Yeah, I mean.
Should we get some questions in? Okay, we're gonna talk a little bit more for like 5-10 minutes. Everyone get your questions ready. There's a live chat. Also, if you like what we're doing, I'm gonna try to do this with more of our artists. There's a link in the description if you guys want to like help support us in this time. Any of our artists, there's a link. Just follow up, and if you guys could support what we're doing, I have a couple guests that are on the timeline to come join us. We can make the quality better, or like more camera angles, better mics.
We're the dry run.
This is the dry run. This learning process.
We're raw dogging this one.
I want to thank Goldcap for trusting me to come out here and do things in this time of being alone. And I want to thank you again.
Man, I told you, I came here for the apple.
Yeah, the apple, the banana, the orange.
The apple, the banana, and the orange.
Okay, if you guys wanna, I'm gonna turn my attention to the computer.
If anybody needs some music right now,
let's do like a self-promo thing. What do you have coming out?
We got the new Goldcast out today with Carlita on the guest mix with some really beautiful classical music. And
okay, so
I've been really happy, like getting all the feedback from that. And then thank you all for the support for the podcast. It's bringing me a lot of joy, knowing you're all having a lot of joy with it, especially now that we're all locked in the house.
Okay, the first question that I'm gonna answer it.
Go for it.
Somebody, I know your answer.
I'm tired.
I know his answer, so I'm gonna answer it. Let me get my computer on the screen. Are you guys gonna do any live streams soon? The short answer is no. The long answer is no. We're gonna do stuff like this because my opinion about it, and I'm sure it's smarter, and he'll share the same way. When we play music live, there's always people running at the end to come talk to us, and we never get the chance to really get to know us or get to know the DJ on a personal level. So doing things like this, other than playing music like we normally do, it gets you to appreciate the person behind the decks. So our idea about doing stuff like this over just playing music is this, that's not new. There's anybody could do it. Everyone is doing it. Whoever wants to do it keeps doing it, but nobody really wants to share who they are, what kind of music you like, or get to know you personally. So this is a better outlet of getting to know who the person is you're supporting, who is the man or woman behind the music. So that is the answer to that question. I don't know if you want to add anything, but
you know, I know everybody's hungry for the nightlife right now, and I can understand why everyone wants live streams and to have that experience of kind of going to a nightclub but at home with your favorite artists. I'm not going to be doing any live streams. I feel like you guys have plenty of artists already doing live streams that you can enjoy and appreciate and support. I'm taking this time to focus on what comes next for me as far as productions, as far as creating some new surprises, you know. And for me personally, like I'm finding enough solace in providing, you know, a weekly podcast series for all of you every Friday. So if you need to see my face while I'm doing it,
put a picture up.
You don't need to see me. The music is out there, and you have like an hour of music from me every week. So I hope that's enough for you guys until we can all get out of our homes and reunite in the nightclubs and the festivals.
We have a question from Mateo. Hey, Mateo. He asked a really cool question. He goes, how well do you know the music you play live? Do you know every song? And especially curious for when you play 8+ hours.
Well, so we as DJs, we when we're downloading music on the road, we listen to the songs, of course. I mean, me personally, I listen to the song at least 3-4 times and get an idea of whether I even want to download it or use it. Sometimes I download songs based on a 2-minute preview that I end up hearing the whole song and find some inconsistencies and feel like it's not worth playing out. So I do have a general idea of a lot of the songs, but where I truly find my understanding of it is when I play it and test it in a live situation. That's when I see where it will be good, how it fits, how people's reactions are. And so the next few shows that I would be playing will be using those songs in a more precise way. And so we're always figuring it out. Every DJ set you see us is always us figuring certain songs out and then playing songs that we had already figured out from weeks before. And when it comes to extended sets, 7-8 hour sets plus, those are just, you know, completely having fun. After about an hour or two, I prefer playing 3+ hours minimum, because after 2 hours, that's when I feel like the audience is completely locked into you and the journey, and they're now locked in and they're taking that ride with you. And so after that point, you can really start experimenting with songs, and people are going to take that ride with you and they won't turn away. So 8-hour sets is just good fun. We get to play old music, new music, upcoming music, because we have that time to really tell a story. Whereas when we have to play like a 1 hour, 2 hour set, it's like we're just trying to give you what you came for and say our farewell. But yeah, extended sets are definitely our opportunities to tell a real story for you guys, and those are the fun ones.
So Rachel, she said, I'm immensely grateful for the Goldcast. It has truly helped me in the funk of this quarantine. How do you feel connected to your listeners during this time? We're connected right now. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel, right?
Yeah,
thank you, Rachel. I appreciate the support. Yeah, You know, the Goldcast had been an idea permeating in my brain for about 3 years now, and there was always some excuse why I couldn't do it. But in reality, it was just me, and something kind of coincided with, you know, a new decade starting in 2020, and bit the bullet and decided, you know what, I'm gonna try to provide, you know, 2 hours of music for people every Friday at exactly noon Pacific Standard Time, just to give myself that, you know, structure. And it's been really, really great for me. I mean, it's unfortunate times are tough right now and everyone's locked at home. But I feel like it is good that I'm getting to provide you guys with much needed music that you need. The idea behind the Goldcast was always about showcasing the hard work that the producers do to create these songs that we as DJs benefit from. And it's very easy for people coming to nightclubs and hearing these songs and putting the spotlight on the DJ. We're just the selectors. We're just selecting those tunes. And so the idea of the Goldcast was more about myself announcing who wrote the track, what the name of the track is, who remixed it, because I want to put a spotlight on those people doing the hard work that you're listening, and also to feature an hour guest mix from people you know and some people you don't, to give them an opportunity to tell their story or give them an opportunity to show a different side of them. Because I encourage all my guest mixes to give me anything they want, whether it's an hour of, you know, Ethiopian jazz or the kind of sound that they play live or something more meant for a podcast, you know. And I think it's nice that you guys all get to hear different sides of us as DJs, that we're not just trying to play music for you to dance to, but we also appreciate other music too. So I'm really happy to be providing you guys with that music, and your support is, you know, keeps me going, because the workload of providing that every week, it's quite challenging.
Yeah, it's very hard.
But you guys keep me going. So I'll go as long as I can, as long as I have your support.
Our friend Garik made a funny comment. He's like, talk more about your DJ friends. That was fun talking about Sabo. And then he mentioned some people we should talk about. So Eduardo, Armen, Viken, Khach. Let's talk about Viken.
Well, I'm not gonna. That would take an entire
let's do a quick little.
That would take an entire other episode. Yeah. But you know,
we miss you guys. We hope all of you are doing well at this time.
Yeah.
We're supposed to have some of you here with us during this time, so that's all about. We're gonna talk about these people because they're gonna be on the show.
I'm
maybe
keeping in contact with all these guys, you know,
and
they're all doing well. Thank God, they're all being productive and they're all healthy. If anybody was wondering, but yeah,
follow their Instagrams, you'll know.
Them, yeah.
They're funny people.
Viken, Shafak, Eduardo, like Sabo, like all these guys, Khach, like they're family, you know. Like, we're not just DJs and we don't just see each other on the road. Like, we actually have like really great relationships. Like me, Viken, Oceanus, Loom, Eduardo, we're connected all the time. We're always checking in on each other, always talking, just not even talking about music, just anything that comes to our minds, because we're really connected, and I really love having that friendship with people in the same life choice. And, you know, there's a lot of interesting stories with me and all those boys. I would take too long to explain them all, but they are all amazing human beings. They're great friends, and they really all inspire me. So it's just an honor to be walking the planet at the same time as so many of these great individuals, including this guy right over here.
Ooh. Where?
The guy behind you. wearing the gloves and the mask.
Oh shit. Another cool question from Garik, but I'm gonna ask another one, and I'm gonna get to that one.
We'll get to yours.
Jono asked, how do you guys organize playlists where genres are very fluid? You organize by genre, by label, by producer, etc. How do you organize your music?
Well, you know, everybody organizes their music differently, but organization is the key.
Yeah.
This
knowing
is the
when to go where
right.
is makes you.
This is the difference between a completely coherent set and something that's just pasted together in a rush. Because sometimes you have a song that's only 4 minutes and you literally have like 2 minutes to decide what song comes next.
After.
And so if you have it in your mind and you can't locate it, you're in deep shit. So the way I organize my music is more with vibes, you know, down tempo daytime music, or up tempo chill, up tempo dance, up tempo techno, up tempo ethnic, and then I have my samples in a folder. I have my mashable non-electronic musics in another folder. And so for me it's more the idea of where it fits vibe wise, and then I just use that. But other people, you know, arrange by key, by tempo, by, you know, anything they choose. But for me, that's usually the way.
I know. You. This is one question that you. I don't think you do it either. We don't plan anything.
Oh, me, I don't plan
anything.
No,
we never plan. Our organization is so good that you could just go into it. You know.
That's learned over time.
Yeah, over time. It's a skill set.
Right.
You know?
For the up and coming DJs, I know it can be nerve wracking sometimes going into like your first nightclub performance, or like you're opening for a DJ you really respect, and you feel like you have to sit at home and arrange a certain set to just mimic live, and that, you know, stay away from that. There's the magic happens when you put it all together in the moment. The idea is to see what's working, see where the vibe is going, and cater to that. Every track should be an inspiration from the track before and what's happening in the space. So when you put a pre-prepared set together and you're expecting to play a banging techno set, you know, and then you get there and there's only 10 people there, if you stick to what you did, it's not going to make sense, you know. So you want to be able to
be fluid,
improvise, just go with it in that moment, and that's when you start learning how to curate for the vibe in the room. And that's a better way to go out DJing.
The way I organize is I'm always constantly downloading music, so when I download, I run it through my processes that I go through to get like all the keys and beat tempos and all the spellings and everything like perfect the way I like it, and then I organize it through the types of events I'm gonna play, and then I organize it like a generic library, and I always load up all my music on a USBs now have a lot of storage, so I go like generic library, just so if I want to pull something out of a hat I could search, and then I go by slower to, I don't do really genres because I stick to a realm and I always kind of go there, but I'll do like slower music, middle paced music, and like faster music, and then I pick through that. So like my play, if I know I have to play for like 2 hours, I'll pick like 70 songs, and in 2 hours is like 20 tracks.
Yeah, to get an idea.
To get an idea of around the range that I'm gonna go, and then when I get there, I just free flow, and where it takes me, and then sometimes like something happens where you want to reach into your library. I reach into my library and I pull stuff out, or like I always organize way more than what I need, because you never know what's gonna happen. The DJ after you might not show up. You have to play extra sets, so then that's actually fun because then you're like, where am I going to take this now? You know, like my set is done, but now I have to play more, and then you play more, and then the fun stuff happens then. But yeah, organization is super key. The more organized you are, the faster you get to pick the tracks you want to pick, or find the tracks you want to find. It'll show, because you're not nervous, or like the pressure is not on. You're like boom, bam, you're constantly flowing, you know, you're getting into the good pace of what you're trying to do, and people could hear it. So staying organized is super cool. Do what works for you. Everyone's different. Organization is something like it's easily learned and easily upkept. The more you upkeep it, the better it is going to be in your future. I remember the first time when I started to really organize what I was doing, I had to organize 3,000 songs in a week. You know how hard that is? Instead of just doing it a little track day by day by day by day, just setting a habit for yourself and constant doing it. Took me such a long time where I got annoyed. I'm like, forget these tracks. I'll use new ones. And then when I have time, over time, I'll go back to it. It's just, don't let it stack up. Just keep doing it in a normal way, and then it'll be beneficial for you in the long run. Okay. Anything else you want to add? Or that's good? No. Okay, cool.
Let's go through some more questions.
Thank you, Jono, for the question. Another one, Garik said, it was a cool one. Out of all the celebrations you've attended, what city, festival, party, country made you feel like the people in attendance had the most pure and strongest sense of freedom? That's a good question.
Well, that can be interpreted in a bunch of different ways. I don't want to downplay.
Upplay. Don't downplay. Upplay.
I don't want to downplay any specific festivals or cities, because that's a very subjective experience. For me, the place that I feel people are very free and expressive and have not a care in the world would be Burning Man. Definitely. I mean, I've played a lot of places all over the world, and a lot of really, really great places. Some experiences have been just equal there, but every year Burning Man is the one event that I look forward to so much, because every single person there has paid their dues. Every single person is there on their own ticket. No one is getting paid. We're there to have fun, provide you with music, and it's not a music festival. That's the thing. It's a small city in the desert, and my role and his role is to provide music, and other people,
he said besides Burning Man.
Food. Oh, he said besides Burning Man.
He just threw it in besides Burning Man. Burning Man, bro. Why are you making it complicated, bro?
Why you gotta make things hard on me? Well, Senegal, the Dakar.
That was easy.
The Dakar Music
No
Festival.
Burning Man, Senegal.
Yeah. Senegal, the Dakar Music Festival was definitely one of the
highlights.
Great highlights. Also, Sol Sahara, Sabo and Helia's event, the Sol Selecta's event in Morocco, had a really, really amazing small gathering of about 60, 70 people where we traveled around Morocco playing music in the desert. Those people were very free and liberated and felt thrown into this place that they had never seen before. And it was really, really, really amazing experience to share with them. Hope that was good enough for you, Gotti, because you were at that one.
Yeah, I know. I was about to say he was at that one.
Yeah. He actually helped a lot, man. Yeah. Him and Lucy were amazing.
What's up, Lucy? Garik, hello. Thanks for tuning in. Manny asked, your transitions are some of the best and most smooth I've ever heard. Do you have any special tips or tricks for when going from one song to the next?
Well, I really appreciate that, Manny.
I know all his secrets. I played back to back. No, I'm kidding.
See, the thing about, and I really, really appreciate the fact that you notice the transitions, because for me, coming into the electronic music, I got into it very, very late. Most people...
Not really.
I mean, for me in my life, quite late. 2000. I actually hated electronic music until 2007. The most.
How old were you in 2020?
2007. I was 21.
21.
It's.
I got into it 2000. I got really into it
as teenagers. Have been raving for a while, but for me, the most electronic that I had listened to until then was like Nine Inch Nails. That was the stuff that I liked. But when I did start getting into electronic music, I was blessed to have a few of my friends who were way more into the music to guide me and show me people who were really, really great. And one of the people that they introduced me to was John Digweed. And if you don't know John Digweed, then you should know John Digweed. You really should look into him, because the man is such a legend, and he was the guy who inspired the mentality, to me, at a very early point in my electronic music experience, of what the true art form was. It wasn't about, I'm playing this song, then I'm playing this song. It's, what is this song and this song overlapping create a new song? And that smooth transition where you hear elements of the upcoming song 3 minutes prior, and you can't even tell where one song starts, another one ends. And that was my schooling. Like, John Digweed and his transitions were my schooling. And it was a huge change around 2010-11 when the North American deep house scene started taking off, because these guys would just like flip one off, flip one in, like really quick. And I was like, where's the art form? Where's that crossover, that transition? So I really tried to incorporate that kind of level of creating something new when I approached my sets, because that's how I was introduced to it, with a really, really great amount of like 4-minute transitions, looping a beat, playing a sample on top of it, bringing the next track in. And so the lines get crossed and muddy, like you don't know what's what. But the only experience that matters is how does it sound to the people. Yeah. All that technical stuff doesn't really matter.
If it sounds good, it sounds good.
How does it sound to the people, you know? And that's about it.
Yeah, don't get too carried away with like technicality of things. It's, if it sounds good, it sounds good, you know?
It's all in the moment,
and you learn that.
Right.
It doesn't come like
those transitions, like what I do, it's not planned. It's just a lot
flowing.
of practice. It's like I kind of have an idea of how this song might end, and I know how this is beginning. So maybe I'll loop it here and keep that going for a while. Or maybe I know it's a perfect mathematical synchronization between one song ending, one coming in. And so, you know, it's song to song. Every track you bring in is a new experiment. I could play the same two songs behind one another, and every single time I could do it in a different way. And there's no right way, there's no wrong way, there's just your interpretation of it. So,
and everyone's is different.
So, you know, that's the fun part for me, like getting that mix in. And that's why it's so much fun playing with Sabo, is because he's bringing in a song maybe I haven't heard, and now it's an experiment of, okay, how do I mix my song on top of this song? I don't quite know how it's going to end. Well, it's a certain amount of communication between me and him, but it's also instinct and just your gut feeling on how you should do this. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's the fun of it. That's the experience.
Another on the technical side, if you want a technical answer. Another way you can get better at transitioning is start making music. Once you listen to song structures, you'll be able to actually figure out when new elements come in and out, which will help you to decide, is this a good decision to make, to bring something in now or bring it in later, or loop it here or loop it there. Once you start getting the foundation of what song structures are and the different types, and then once you start making music and you realize when things come in and out, it makes your decision making on when to mix a lot better. A
lot of electronic music, it's mathematics.
Repetitive, it's math.
It's mathematics. You know, everything goes 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. And so when you know after a breakdown the first beat is playing there, if you start the next song right on that beat, more or less it's going to line up. On 32 beats, it might change. And so on the next song, 32 beats, there's another change. And so 16, 32, 64, and it kind of overlaps. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. But you just have to go with it, go with the flow.
A good way to practice transitions: loop the same track twice, like a 16-bar loop on each one, same track. Start one and try to time the same copy and try to time it coming in at the same time, and try to transition the same song into the same song without having any issues. And like once your ear learns when the right time is for the track, that you hear it as one song, then you're able to differentiate your ear. So it's kind of like ear training. So whenever you bring in other songs, you're able to really tune in on which song is doing what and where, to be able to transition the timing better. So more on the technical answer, practice. At the end of the day, practice. Let's see what more questions we have. What? This is a personal question. What's the most embarrassing childhood memory you have? That's a good one. I like that one.
Most embarrassing childhood memory.
That makes you human and
Okay. I don't know if this is embarrassing, but
cool childhood memory.
I was petrified. This is one of the earliest memories that I can remember. And okay, so I was really, really young, and my dad, he's a bit of a handyman. He's amazing. You know, he's a computer engineer.
His parents are super dope.
Yeah,
I love
anybody in the industry more or less knows my parents. All the DJs who come to LA, they always stay with my parents.
I've seen his
even
dad.
When I'm not there.
I've seen
stay with my parents.
I've seen his dad recorded like a 3-hour set from a tree, holding onto a tree 3 hours nonstop, just recording his son play.
Yeah, you can
crazy.
Can ask a lot of DJs who've come to stay in LA. Like they stay with my parents, and my parents love them.
Yes.
So my dad, he's a bit of a handyman, and he redid the floors in our old house. He did tile floors. I remember he was doing like tiles in one area of the house, and I was super, super young. And I guess I don't know why I felt like I could make chocolate milk by myself, and I had like the Hershey's syrup, the chocolate Hershey syrup, and I feel like I made myself some chocolate milk, and I was so excited I wanted to go tell my dad about it. And I ran through the house, over the carpets, with this Hershey's chocolate syrup bottle upside down, spilling it all over the carpet as I walked up to my dad to tell him like I made chocolate milk. And he looked up at me, and in the way he looked at me, I realized what I had just done, and just the look on his face, I immediately dropped the syrup and started bolting across the house. And I don't know if you guys know about what Middle Eastern parents can do with a slipper, but that is
target
like their ninja weapon. That is like their ninja weapon, and they have like trained with this. And I remember running away, and that slipper came flying across the room.
Perfect aim.
It's like
a lot of us.
And that, I don't know if that's very embarrassing, but that's one memory that I was just like,
we've had many
I was
of those.
Embarrassed that I demolished the carpet floors and. In my house,
you were scared.
Oh,
you were scared.
It was. I must have been like, I don't know.
Did you ever practice any dodges and dives?
I could never dodge them. One time.
Did you ever practice them though?
No. One time, my room was at the end of a hallway, and I remember one time trying to run to my room and close the door, and it was my dad. Yeah, at the other end of the hallway. This was like 20 feet away from me. As I was closing the door, this slipper went through the slit and popped me in the head before I got to close it. Yeah.
Oh man,
they're
that's fun.
I gotta learn at that camp wherever they went.
I was actually one of my talking about this Middle Eastern upbringing. One of my friends I was talking to during this Corona stuff, and he's like, he has a young son. He's like, it's the first time the ball of energy is being let loose, and any of you who have kids, you're stuck at home with them, and like they usually go to daycare or school, so you don't get to see them, but now you're trapped in the house with them. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. Just send him over to a Middle Eastern house. We'll calm his energy real fast, you know. I'm like, I don't know if Americans will approve of the situation, but Middle Eastern parents,
I feel like that form of not punishment. I wouldn't call it punishment, but just keeping a kid in line, disciplining. I feel like that's gone with this generation.
Yeah, I'm so appreciative.
At least here in the States, we're not going to be doing that.
I'm so appreciative.
I love the fact that my parents did that to me. I was
so appreciative. Kid. I'm wild now. I'm wild now. Imagine if I wasn't like tamed in a certain way growing up. What would happen?
I wouldn't want to know you.
I wouldn't want to. Thank you to our parents for their upbringing of Middle Eastern style. Is really good.
Thankful for it all.
Thankful. So that was your embarrassing story. I laughed, so it was pretty embarrassing. Next question. We're getting more questions. Thank you for the questions. We're gonna do this for about 20 more minutes.
Yeah, we can.
We're gonna hit the 2-hour mark. Yeah, we're gonna hit the 2-hour mark.
I don't know where to be.
Yeah, we do.
Going back home.
No, you're not. We're staying here. Do you have any? Hey fam. Okay. Much love to all of you. Hey fam. Do you have a record label recommendation besides Soul Selectors, Pipe and Poche, Souk, or do you have any label you follow on a regular basis?
I mean, there's a lot of record labels that I follow. Some of them are very consistent in their releases. Some of them have like one golden nugget every couple of months. D-Nature, Vikan Arman's label, is really, really great.
Release more, Vikan. We miss your tracks.
Let's see. Loom's record label, Homo Infinitus, also really, really amazing. Canto is Oceanus Orientalis' label. Very experimental, very cool stuff there. Shango Records, I've been really, really digging. There's a lot. I mean, I'm giving you electronic music labels, but there's a lot of other record labels doing non-electronic music that I feel like you should all dig into and just experiment. Just it's all about finding like a chain link, you know. Sometimes you'll find one remix by somebody you've never heard of, and then you check them out. And then they lead you to somebody else who remixed them, and then they lead you to a label that released a few tracks that sound great. And then it's just this domino effect where you just have some of these nights where are just fire. You're finding amazing new music, and like you didn't even know the path that you took to get there, but you land on some really, really great stuff. So I just encourage following the artists, following the remixes, and seeing what label they released that on, and then look into that label, and then see another artist who released on that label, go to his profile, see what other labels he released on, and so on and so forth.
Command T is your best friend in finding labels. Go to a music site, just open new tabs, and then when you do research, if something catches your attention, open another tab, and then once you're done with this tab, move over and continue this process.
Keep going back and forth.
Just going back and forth, and you'll find new labels, new artists, and that's a good way of finding labels. Let's see, Vartan. What's up, Vartan? Thanks for tuning in. He had a question. How do two DJs who plan to play back-to-back decide and administer the style of music they will play for the night? That's a tough one.
Okay, well, the thing is, with that, you got to be very loose with your plans. Because if you start laying down too many rules right in the beginning, you're kind of limiting the freedom of your partner that you're playing with and to yourself. So, for instance, like with me and Sabo, sometimes we just get on the decks and it's just like, all right, I have a really great intro track. I'll play. Okay, cool. And I play it, and then he plays the next, and we just figure it out as we go along. Sometimes halfway through, we'll be like, what would be cool? Maybe let's go down tempo right now. Perfect. I got the perfect track. And me and Sabo have this thing where, like, when he plays a song and I'm playing, I'm thinking, oh my god, this would be a really great song to play. And I look over at him and I was like, dude, wait, what key are you in? And he will say the exact key of the song that I'm already playing. And I'm just like, synchronicity starts happening left and right, and we look at each other, we're like, it's happening again. And we have this thing that we always like, it's happening again, and like, of course it's happening again. Because when you're so in tune, when you start just letting loose and experimenting and having fun, you could be taking yourselves to places you didn't think you could go. And that all happens when you keep a very loose vibe in your planning. The most I'll do with Sabo or anyone else I play with is like in the very beginning, we'll just be like, how do you want to start off, slow or up tempo? It's like, yeah, let's go slow. And then we just progress. We figure it out as we go along. And that's what makes it fun and enjoyable for us. If you see me and Sabo behind the decks, we're always smiling, talking, laughing, because we're experiencing it for the first time with you. We're all in it together. It's not like we have this secret and you're just finding out about it. Like, we're having fun and figuring it out at the same time you are. So I would encourage all of you to just keep your plans very, very loose with your back-to-back partners and just allow each other to inspire you and throw you out of your comfort zone. You know, sometimes me and Sabo, we have like these little battles where he'll give me something like a super crazy nostalgic funk or reggae track, and I'll be like, oh shit, like,
what am I supposed to do?
All right,
now?
you're putting me on the spot. Let me see what I can do. And you know, the nerves come up, and then you throw something into that shakes him up, and then you guys are kind of having this like little battle. But everybody on the dance floor is like, wow, what's happening? So that's how you keep it fun and interesting for yourselves and everybody else. At least in my opinion, it could be, you know, other back-to-backs may rely really on like being precise and to a certain vision or to a certain sound, and maybe that works for them. But for me, it's all about improvising and just having fun in that moment, not knowing where you're going to end up.
It also depends how comfortable you are with the other person.
Right, you have to have chemistry.
You have to have chemistry.
Like, I've played with a lot of people back-to-back. I have never had chemistry with any of them the way I do with Sabo. Although I've played with a lot of people back-to-back and we've had really great sets. Yeah. But they're just something different, like, you know, it's just like really great to know that there's somebody in this industry that I've found that we are just so synced up together. He's like the yin to my yang. So I hope you all find that for yourselves too if you're interested in playing with somebody else.
A question I have for you guys before I ask another question.
Also, it's very important to remain friends.
Yeah.
It's very easy for this business side to tear people apart. We all know great duos that have split up for, you know, various different reasons, but for me and Sabo, it's always about remaining really good friends and not letting business get in between us at all. And we even like looked at each other one time and said, like, if we ever start looking like we're not having fun, you know, on the decks or not really communicating, let's just end it there so we don't jeopardize our friendship. And that's more important to us than the musical side of it. So create a friendship with the people you're playing with, because it's very important and it comes through to everybody who's enjoying your music. That energy really translates to everybody else. So keep your friendships very pure and clean.
The question I have for you guys is, I'm gonna try to do this. This has been fun, right? Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. It's nice talking to you.
Write down in your comments or whatever what other artists around in the LA area. I'm gonna try to figure out how to do it with overseas people.
I mean, until you have people coming in for subculture shows.
Yeah, until they come. Yeah, but
now, LA-based artists.
LA-based artists. Write down in the comments who you'd like to see, and I'll try to reach out to them. I have a lot of friends with all these people, so like it'll be super easy. And then maybe if this thing continues going, we could continue it after, and then who knows, I might have a show on Netflix. Thanks. To start, we'll do this more often. Every year our answer's gonna change.
Let's get me out of the way before it goes mainstream. How about that?
That's why you're here first. No, yeah, just put the things in the comments, and then we'll figure it out. And press subscribe. YouTube subscribe.
Any more interesting questions?
Yeah, there's a bunch.
I'm gonna be here all night.
No, we have 10 more minutes of it. One thing, we can save this for another topic. Industry talk about our industry. This is one thing that I missed out on. We'll save this for later. Maybe we might do this again. Where the industry is going, and how do you like what do you like some parts of it? You don't like some parts, like generically. Like,
it's pretty closely associated with the wavelength of any of any sound, because there's high points, and then there's, like, you know, plateaus and low points where certain months or certain years feel like just this explosion of a new different sound, and it just creates this really great like fire under you to go farther, and a lot of people cross pollinating their inspiration. And then there's some years where it's just like everyone's just pumping out the same kind of music because it's popular, and then it gets kind of boring there. And so, yeah, I mean, the industry, I don't know where it's going, you know. It's a very fragile industry, you know. What people enjoy listening to today could all change by next year. So we're just really like fortunate to be where we are now and have had the experiences that we've had so far. So we'll see.
Someone asked, do you mix all your tracks at the same BPM? I'm gonna let you know right now. The answer is no.
Whoa, that is a hard no.
That's no. That's
a hard no.
Shout out to Albors. We miss you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Yes, we've had legendary times in Albors.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know about Burning Man, it's such a place where it brings people together and makes family out of strangers. So it's like anytime we're connected with people through our memories of places we've been, sufferings, good times, bad times, it's a good thing. Shout out to you guys. Somebody asked a cool question. Which DJ friend do you get the most trouble with?
Trouble?
Yeah, when you guys get together and hang out.
Oh.
And who's the troublemaker in the scenario? I don't think Burge is a troublemaker. He was.
I mean, it depends. It depends. I'm usually a contrarian. So whatever
you contribute to the
no, a contrarian. Whereas like if a bunch of people are in
something.
one vibe, I'm kind of the opposite. So I always try to do this to create a balance in the space somehow. So if I'm with people who are like boring me, I go crazy. And if I'm with the crazy people, I try to bring it down. But the one person I'm always with that like it gets wild, but not in the way you're thinking.
I'm guessing.
Just say it.
You say it.
Probably no. It's Shafak.
Yeah. We miss you, Shafak.
Oceanus Orientalis. This guy is like he's my Turkish brother.
He's fun.
Like I've known this guy since his first visit to the United States when he came to Los Angeles. I picked him up from the airport, and ever since that first moment, it's
always fun. He's just down. There's a no from him.
The guy is great, and he's such a comedian, and he's such a great, generous, loving guy. And you know, he's my brother. Anytime he's in LA, we're always spending time together. Same goes for they all know who they are. But that guy is definitely one that has some great stuff. Another troublemaker is Felipe
Spaniol, bro.
Great guy, great musician, great troublemaker.
There's a lot of us. We're all troublemakers in our own sense. It just depends who's with who. Certain people aren't.
How much sleep
have not. Yeah, and how free we feel. Because sometimes whenever we go places and everyone knows us and they all jump on us, you'll see us like as good boys. But like when we're in places where like nobody really knows us, we can do whatever we want. It's like the beast is unleashed. We're like. No responsibility.
Just about feeling comfortable.
Yeah, it's about feeling comfortable,
It is, same experience for everybody.
Salud. What audience excites you the most?
What audience excites me the most?
Yeah.
Breathing people.
Good people, fun, energetic.
Breathing people. I like people who like come to a show not knowing the music at all.
I like that too.
It's opportunities to show them something new and then play with them and then try to get them interested, even if they're not going to be interested at the end of the day. It's just always nice to feel like a challenge.
Yeah, we're getting more comments about virtual sets. Yeah, I don't know if you tuned in earlier, but we talked a little bit about that. That's not going to happen. We rather focus this time on making music, so whenever we're actually out there together, it'll be more meaningful. My take on virtual sets is like you're kind of selling yourself short, to be honest.
I mean, I can see why people are doing them.
I can see why they're doing it
provide
too.
You guys with some music because they know you're at home, and I feel like you guys have enough of that.
Yeah, there's so much entertainment already.
People putting out music, and I feel like this is an opportunity to not be asking us for live streams, but more using this time to discover people you might not know so much, or people who are not global traveling artists who are providing you live streams from the comfort of their home. This would be a great time to tune into them because, in the default kind of world, nobody's really paying attention to these up and comers, underground people. Now is a great time for you guys to all start supporting them a little bit more, so their careers can get
uplifted,
a little juice in them. So when all this blows over, they might be getting gigs closer to where you live. So I don't think you guys need music from us in live stream. You know, like I said before, I have the weekly radio show every Friday, 2 hours of music for you guys on my SoundCloud page. So, you know, that's my contribution to your guys' quarantine. I mean, I got the isolation station for you guys. Take this time to explore new artists who are really, really trying hard to get your attention with their live streams. So, you know, support that if you can.
Another thing to add on, because of this whole COVID situation, not only music industry, all industries are trying to go streaming. So like even me doing this podcast thing, it was so hard to find the actual gear that I need to make it a semi-decent quality for it to be broadcasted to you guys. And like I went to like 10 different stores, looked online, getting it by this date, by that date. It was like it's almost impossible to share something of quality and get it to the listener or the viewer. And especially in music, where like all these even like what you're hearing now to us is bad quality because of the compressions that these like YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or SoundCloud, they give you such low bandwidth of the quality of music. Like it's not even worth for our music to be heard in this quality, you know. It's like you want to hear it live because there's just this factor of it being live and you on nice sound and good speakers that like if I'm to introduce new music to you on this low quality system instead of in person, I'm doing a disservice to the piece of music, you know. Because like if you see my speakers, like I listen to music on these on high quality, which I could hear every little sound. If you don't have nice set of speakers, and for us to get these speakers to you through this connection that's provided to us, it's very like unfair, you know. Like it's not gonna, it doesn't work out that nice. And if you think it sounds good, trust us, it doesn't. When you're live and just hearing it on like these $100,000 speakers, for example, and you get the feeling that it's not gonna do the same justice. It's kind of like listening to a live set after the fact you heard it live. It never gives that same feeling of you actually being live, you know. So it's like we'll do cool stuff like this to stay connected and share stuff.
Yeah,
but
we'll play our part however we
can. We can. But virtual parties, I rather party, dance, and grab you and hug you.
I know a lot of people who are just every weekend looking for a great virtual party to have Zoom with their friends. And to some point, I understand it's like sharing some social time with your friends and listening to music and having some drinks, feeling like you're having a night out at home. So in that sense, it's like keep doing what you're doing, have fun, but just know that we're ready to provide you guys with some high quality sound as soon as this is done. And you know, we're not going anywhere.
We're staying active.
We're all waiting for our opening to share some more experiences together.
The funny thing is, this might seem new to like staying at home, but like people that make music are locked in studios for a long time. For us, this is like.
I never thought I'd miss an airplane, though.
You miss the airplane?
Oh, man, I miss being on my airplane with my little pillow.
Right now, where would you be?
Headphones. Right now...
What are we? Man, What's the date? Do you guys even know what day it is?
I missed... Right now, I would have been in Dubai.
I
would have been in Dubai, yeah.
Shout out to Dubai.
Yeah. My Kainuna family.
He followed. I know he tuned in. Shout out to him. Hamid asked, how are you guys been dealing with COVID and the effects on the scene? It's very sad.
I mean,
very terribly.
It's a bit depressing, you know. But I fell into a bit of a depression for the first 2-3 weeks of being quarantined because, one, it was this is not just a job for us. This is our passion. This is what we live for, to be traveling and sharing music with all of you guys. And when we have plans set up, like 20 city tour coming up and it just being taken away from you, like ripped away, it hurts. But after the initial shock of you start finding the silver lining, where this is the time that we all complain as traveling DJs, we don't have enough time in the studio, we don't have enough time to work. Well, now's our chance to put our money where our mouth is. And so this is the time to be creative. You know, like me personally, I've been taking this time to, you know, keep working on the podcast, working on productions, writing some poetry, making art. And everybody at home is having a similar experience, I think. A lot of people are out of work right now, you know, not just us. And so I'm sure you should find the silver lining. This COVID-19 thing is going to blow over. It's not going to be the last pandemic we're going to see in our lifetime. So just get used to how you approach this from now on.
Honestly, like, focus on yourself. Right now is a good time for you to catch up to what you've been trying to do, or like, I got surgery on my eyes, no more glasses. I rebuilt my studio and I started making music every day, 12 hours a day since we've been locked in. Like, just focus on yourself, learn something new, read a book, turn off the news. That's the first thing you can do. Turn that off. And like, if people around you are down and depressed, you have two options: change their mood, or change where your position is and do something productive and learn something. Right now, like in this past month, I've learned so many new techniques and tricks in music production that I've never had the time to, because I had so many events, or throwing this event, or traveling here, traveling there. Just try to boost yourself, meditate, exercise, do whatever you want. Just do something, you know, to motivate yourself. And once this is done, once everyone stopped, the people that stopped, you're gonna notice they stopped. And the people that pushed forward, you're gonna think they got lucky after. No, it's, these people don't stop working. Just because you're working in a different location doesn't mean you have to stop working, you know. Or focus, change your mindset, change your attitude. I learned how to broadcast on YouTube. I never ever even thought about that, you know. Like, just learn something new, get creative, have fun. Yeah, the best, have fun. Just the number one thing you could do is turn off the news. Don't listen to the news. Just do you, stay home, stay safe. Once you see people running around outside, then you'll know it's safe to go outside. You know, just don't let other people influence your thought processes at this time, you know. Just focus on yourself, be creative, draw, paint, make music, watch movies, talk to friends. Here's a good thing you could do. Go on your phone and call everyone on your phone that you haven't talked to in years, and ask them how they're doing and how their life is being affected. I guarantee you, if you call someone you haven't talked to in a really long time, they're gonna know that you're thinking of them during this time, and you're gonna boost their attitude and energy, and then you're gonna cause a difference in someone's life. Like, that is being productive. Do stuff like that, you know. 2 hours.
Sorry, let's answer a few
how many more
questions
questions do you want to do?
As long as they're interesting.
As long as they're interesting,
as long
okay.
as they're new and interesting, I don't mind. This is.
I
rarely get to answer questions from people.
If there's gonna be,
do this again for a while,
yeah,
so.
If there's gonna be questions that we have already answered in the stream earlier on, I'm just gonna skip over those.
Yeah, you can rewatch.
You can just rewatch the stream. You'll figure it out. And then I'm gonna read some questions right now. There's a question about what's your relationship and point of view on psychedelics and stuff like that, substances. We're gonna. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
No, I don't mind. It shouldn't.
It's there, but don't let it focus.
It shouldn't be a crutch.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a crutch. It should be used wisely. It should be used safely. It should be used with the right intentions. And there's a lot of benefits to altering your perception. Everybody who's done it more or less knows what I'm talking about, and anybody who's on the fence about it, don't take my word.
Yeah.
Don't use me as your inspiration to do anything.
I do it sometimes, and it's great.
Yeah.
He has wild ideas.
Again, use it with the right intentions, and always use it in a way as like, this is your time to experience something different, and I'm talking about what happens up here, not what happens out here. So be very mindful about the effects of these substances, and use them to better your life and better your relationships instead of just a means to get lit.
Ahmed asked another cool question. Do you equate your success with having talent, or was it more hard work?
Definitely, like this is something I feel like every person on planet Earth has a talent or has the ability in one instrument or another if they just applied themselves to it. I know plenty of people who think like, oh, I'm not good at music because they don't know how to play a piano or they don't have rhythm when they play drums. And it's like, maybe you're more suited for vocal work. Maybe you're more suited to play a flute. If you've never tried a flute, try that. Maybe you'll be good at a cello. Yeah. Everybody, I feel like, has a talent. So I can't say I have talent and that's why I'm different than anybody else.
I think your talents are more in barbecue than in
maybe the culinary world.
His ribs are wow.
But yeah, hard work is 10,000 hours. That's the rule. Put in your 10,000 hours in perfecting your craft and you will be a master. Some people will prefer that guy's work to your work, but that's subjective. Just put in your 10,000 hours. Consider yourself a master, but the journey's never over. You keep learning, you keep pushing yourself. Never feel content with where you are. The second you tell yourself, I got it locked down, that's when you're not going to improve anymore, and you might as well just quit. So, it's never going to be over. Just keep working hard and embrace the talents that you have. Because believe me, everybody has a talent, and they just have to find it. And if you have found yours, you should be the inspiration for others to find theirs, because it's not about you, it's about the legacy you leave to other people. I would not want to be doing any of this if I haven't inspired at least one person to go out and find their talent. So I know I had that experience from the people I was inspired from, so that's the best we can hope for in this life, just inspiring others.
Another cool question. How many instruments do you have? He has a lot. And it came from Kelly. Hey Kelly, hey girl, how you doing?
Kelly. That's my girl.
That's a good question. So people know. He has a lot.
I don't keep count, but we're in the range. We're
70?
We're triple digits.
What?
We're triple digits.
Oh, with the little.
Yeah, with everything we're counting, like different shakers and percussions and lutes and flutes and knickknacks.
There's like maybe 70 unique ones.
We're triple digits. Yeah, we're triple digits for sure. I mean, there's instruments that I use for production. There's instruments I use for doing sound meditations. And, there's instruments that have no purpose. I just like the way they sound.
Hey, we have to do this again.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Maybe next year or something, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of cool things. Yeah, we'll create one. There's a lot of cool things we didn't talk about, and 2 hours have passed.
You can ask me whatever you want now if it's coming to you.
His sound healings, I'm just going to mention them. We're not going to ask about the day of the whole announcement.
I don't claim to be a healer. Sound meditation.
We just had this cool, intimate sound meditation the day everyone went crazy. It was actually very refreshing being calm and as everyone's worried and running around. But he does some really cool sound meditations. If you're lucky enough to be invited or have a chance to do one publicly, it's super cool.
Thanks, man.
And he brings out a bunch of cool instruments that you guys have never even heard of or seen, or trust me, some weird things that sound so unbelievably beautiful, and you would least expect a sound to come out of something that looks like that. So that's another cool thing you guys should check out. Another question. Let's do 2 more questions and then.
Cool.
Okay, so let's do one question about food, because I know his barbecue and I've ate it, and if you think his music's good, he cooks real good too, or barbecues real good. His mom is a very good cook.
Oh yeah.
Very good.
Iraqi Armenian dishes coming out.
So, what is your favorite food when you come to Istanbul, or food in general? Let's do food in general, because there's good food in Istanbul. There's good food everywhere.
Amazing food in
My favorite food personally is Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv food is...
Yeah, if you're looking for Mediterranean kind of Middle Eastern
Tel Aviv food is really good.
Yeah. Israel has
Tulum
great
is
food.
really good too, but go ahead.
I mean, That's really hard. It's like asking me like, what's your favorite song? It's like,
I was gonna ask you that, but I'm like, it's too difficult.
I'm a bit of a foodie, so the one thing that brings me comfort when I'm on the road touring and away from friends and family and my home, it's so important to know that wherever I am, right around the corner, there's this amazing local restaurant with all local produce. And getting, like, my thing is, it's kind of weird, but in every country I go, I always try to have, like, a pure raw tomato. Yeah. Because for me, tomato has just so much complexity, so much diversity, like, from region to region. And for me, like, that's one of the things that I really like to experience from place to place. But, I mean, every culture, every country has amazing food, and it's a real experience. And, the culinary world is so fruitful. It's hard to say what my favorite food is, but I will say that food is so nourishing. It's not just keeping our bodies alive; it keeps our spirits alive, just like music. But I mean, Istanbul, great food all over.
Yeah, Istanbul is
all
great.
Over. Yeah.
Okay, for the last question, and I think it's a good one to wrap things up. Where would you like to see the music scene progress?
Where would I like to see it progress?
Yeah, like, how would you like to see it progress?
Well,
where would you like
what I want?
Yeah, like your opinion about it.
I mean, my opinion is it's going to take the course that it's going to naturally take. And by telling myself, by asking myself a question like that, where do I want it to progress?
Perfect time. We got credits to stuff on the video at the same time.
It's like the hook, up, right? But for me, I mean, I think it's quite pointless to even put yourself in the situation of having expectations for yourself, because expectations is like one of my mantras is no expectations. Because anytime you set expectations, you're more or less gonna give yourself a letdown,
a failure.
When you come into something with no expectations, you'll always be pleasantly surprised by what's in front of you. And so the same applies to how I feel about the industry moving forward. Is wherever it goes, I'm just open to receive it, and I'm sure we'll all figure our way around it and embrace it for what it is.
Okay, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Birch, for coming on.
Thank you, brother.
Again, in the comments, if you guys could subscribe and leave in the comments, who would you like to see more info about, different people. I'm going to reach out to my friends and see what I could do. Hopefully the quality and everything was good. You guys could hear us perfectly. We'll try to do this better in nicer places and with more people. So hopefully soon we're out of this and we could do this live and in front of a studio audience, maybe.
Yeah, love it.
No, we'd rather dance and play music for you guys. There's anything you want to add to the fans? Last thing?
I've really enjoyed this time answering your questions, guys. I know we don't have a lot of time to talk in nightclubs and festivals and things like this, and I'm generally a shy person, but it's been really nice to answer some of your questions and give you guys a little bit of insight into my personal experience and point of view, and if only I was lucky enough to get to know you guys in the same way. So yeah. Thanks to this guy for having me and starting this series, and I hope you guys all stay safe and healthy. Take care of your loved ones, and we'll be back soon. This is all going to blow over, and really looking forward to sharing some more amazing memories with you all. So, thanks.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Good day. Thanks, bro.